Christian excusegists will often talk about the cumulative case for Christianity, suggesting that you can't look at just this or that argument or alleged piece of evidence for something like the resurrection or God's existence. Rather, you have to look at all of the arguments and alleged evidence together, cumulatively. In this video, I want to ask Christians to consider the cumulative case against Christianity. And in making that case, we'll go from the general to the specific on a linear timeline. So, to begin with, Christians have to believe in God, who is not just any God, but the God. The one and only God, the sole necessary being who is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, and is, as the Torah clearly states, unquestionably one. Except he's also three, an idea which not only goes against the teachings of Moses and the Hebrew Bible, but is nowhere explicitly articulated by God's Son, Jesus, in the Gospels. Next, Christians have to believe that this God is a timeless, spaceless being who can yet somehow act and be the cause of, well, everything. You heard me. Despite existing outside time and space, this being, God, can somehow create, when the mere act of creating requires time. Even the creation of time requires time to already exist. This is no easy problem. Listen to Christian excusegist ordinaire William Lane Craig struggle with it.
So the insufficiency of the cause before, let's say, if it's the wrong language, but before the universe exists, the insufficiency of the cause, which means that it hasn't existed yet, is prior in explanation rather than prior in time.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that what you call the insufficiency of the cause is due to the fact that the free will of this being has not chosen to create the universe. This being has not made such a decision. But the instant that such a decision is made, time comes into being. Indeed, the decision is explanatorily prior to the first instant of time. You just have to be very careful if you're going to be philosophically precise to use tenseless verbs in your sentences and not use temporal particles like before or yet. The instant that such a decision is made, time comes into being. Indeed, the decision is explanatorily prior to the first instant of time.
Well, there you have it, my Christian friends. Problem solved, right? Things can happen prior to the first instance of time. Yeah, that makes sense, right? That makes perfect sense, right? Next, once this timeless being had somehow made the decision to create, which I know, decisions sound like they require time, right? But just stay with me. Once that decision had been made, Christians then have to believe that God either created the universe and everything in it within a very short period of time, some say as little as 6 days, or God initiated all of space, time, and matter and just let things evolve over the course of billions and billions of years. God's not really clear about this in his holy book. Or he is. And our universe is very young despite all appearance to the contrary. Which would mean that the vast majority of Christians, modern Christians, William Lane Craig included, are simply suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. It also means that God is quite the prankster. Or is it the devil who makes everything look really old? Well, God allows it, so his bad, right? Whatever the case, Christians have to believe that God somehow decided, before the creation of time, to create a world he knew would, one way or another, be filled with wickedness and sin, which God hates more than anything. If our universe is indeed young, then sin filled the world only after a couple of clueless humans who almost literally just fell off the turnip truck got tricked into a life of sin by a talking snake, which God allowed in with these morons, knowing exactly how that would work out for his creation, hating sin and wickedness like he does. But if our universe is very old, then Christians have to believe that God created a universe with sin at the ready, just waiting for a species sentient enough to come along and bask in it as we do. Death and suffering too, which means this all good, infinitely good God also timelessly decided to create evil, which is something all timeless, spaceless, infinitely good beings do. I mean, everybody knows that, right? That's just axiomatic. This also means that our infinitely good God timelessly decided to use the brutal, heartless process of evolution to bring about his desired species, which, according to William Lane Craig, goes back as far as Homo heidelbergensis, up to 1 million years ago, meaning God let all the other non-hominid species battle it out, dying and suffering for nearly 1 billion years prior, when he could have just poofed the universe and all life into existence in an instant, being all-powerful as he is. Then, Christians have to believe that for the vast majority of that 1 million years since the appearance of Homo heidelbergensis, God decided to say nothing to the humans, for which the entire universe was created. He didn't tell anyone that we're all created in his image, having a special place of dignity and worth until 3,300 years ago. Instead, letting us all battle it out, killing one another off until it was just us, which I guess means that those other human species weren't created in God's image, just Homo sapiens. Sorry, Bill. That gets us from creation to the first of God's alleged revelations to humanity. These are some of the foundational concepts and beliefs required to make Christianity work, although if life evolved and humans didn't bring death and sin into the world, then we really don't need a savior, do we? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's more to look at in part 1. Until then, I'm me. Thanks for watching.